citation metric scores. As you can see, both are dealing with the COVID-19 and both receive a huge number of citations. And so we also choose 3 research articles based on their citation. So by the way, the 3 top research articles, the senior authors are all SSR members and also the senior researchers in the field. We chose 4 review articles as the top cited review articles based on the citation again, and the 2 from China, 2 from the US. Of course, we choose 1 and based on the metric score. And this again, this review paper is talking about COVID-19, so which is not surprising to get a high citation for the past year. So next, please. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, it's so important. Go back. So please. So important, our reviewing editors and also the ad hoc reviewers. So we cannot thank them enough. So this year we choose the following individuals to receive the BOR awards. So let's congratulate them, and we'll thank you for your support and contribution. Next, please. As you know that Hugh and I, we started the special issues. Click, please. The special issue, each special issue deal with a specific topic with a thematic focus. So last year we published our 4th special issue on contraceptive development. Click, please. And then continue to click. I shouldn't have set up this way, but anyway. So next month, we're going to publish our 5th special issue entitled Beyond Genes and Non-Genetic Inheritance in Human Disease Basics Epigenetics special issue. And early next year, please click. We're going to publish our last special issue highlighting the research achievement in the reproductive biology in China. Next, please. So we implemented many new features 4 years ago, and so the past year we continue to interview our senior scientists in the field, and we have published about 12 interviews, and so you're welcome to check them out. And I personally enjoy reading every single interview piece because I didn't know a lot of them personally. I mean, like they told a whole lot of really good stories, and please do so. Next, please. Click everything, please. And then we work with OUP and updated the website. So if you have time, please visit our new website, and it's the layout, everything looks much better than before. And then we also started editor's choice. And basically how it works is that each issue and the editor-in-chief actually choose 2 articles and make them freely accessible. And so we want to use this way to highlight the important research we publish, and also use that as an incentive to the authors who submit their high quality research papers to BOR. And we continued with our trainee reviewer program. And so we constantly recruiting trainees into the program. Of course, we have some trainees who have graduated from the program. So if you are trainees in the audience, please talk to your mentor and for sponsorship and apply to this program. Of course, you send your applications to our new editor-in-chief. So we also improve the instructions to authors, and this is again, as Franco mentioned, we try to do everything to improve the experience of our authors. And so the new instructions, I think it's much more clear than before. Click. One more thing I want to say, please. Yeah, so we also encourage people to submit graphic abstracts, and this is sort of like we all understand, like an image, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so right now there's a competition ongoing, so in collaboration with BioRenders, and so we're going to choose several the best graphic abstracts from all the submitted papers and give them a prize. And so next time we submit a paper, and we strongly encourage you to include the graphic abstracts. Next, please. And so last but not the least, and I'm very happy to report 3 clicks. please. Yeah, and then this year the journal impact factor actually has risen from 3.2 to 4.3. So specifically, it's a 4.285. It's almost like a 4.3. So that's a significant jump. And so right now our journal is ranking the 5th among all the 30 reprobiology related journals. So that's very good to hear. This is the goal. I set 4 years, like you and I, we set 4 years ago. So we try to get over, surpass the 4. Actually, we achieve it, overachieve it a little bit. But anyway, so now we have passed on the baton to our new editors-in-chief, and Dr. Mary Slansky and Romana Norwek. And so BOR is in good hands. So let's all support them to make our journal even better in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wei. And Mary and I are very honored to have this opportunity to be in charge of the journal. I'm just going to make a few comments. Many of the initiatives that have been put through by Wei and Hugh, we are going to continue. Just want to make a few comments. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so I think we've already gone over in the past who the associate editor team is. We really tried hard to make it more international, and we do have associate editors now from 5 countries and also have tried to balance them. One new position is our reviews editor, and that's Raj Kumar, and he's handling all the reviews as well as soliciting reviews. Next slide, please. Yeah, so these are our associate editors. Next slide, please. We expanded the board of reviewing editors. We have 93 members. They're, again, very international, 5 continents, 13 countries. We have a number of new members. You can see that in the pie chart. We tried very hard to make sure that all areas are well represented. And this includes not only different areas of focus, such as male versus female and so forth, but also domestic animal production, as well as human, as well as the kind of more traditional rodent models. So I think we have a very strong team, and that will be reflected in good reviews. Next slide, please. So our first special issue that we're working on right now is the intersection of assisted reproductive technologies and oocyte biology. That's open for submissions. We have 15 proposed articles and an introduction. Dr. Rebecca Roper is our guest editor for this issue. The deadline is October 1st, so it's coming up, but it's proceeding very well. We're already receiving some of the submissions. Our goal is to have this special issue come out either in December or January of 2022. So December now in 2021 or 2022. And then shortly after that, in the spring, will be Wei and Hugh's China issue. So that, and we'll help Wei and Hugh bring that to completion. We're already planning and working on our next special issue of bioengineering the reproductive system. Dr. Linda Griffith will be our guest editor for that issue. We're planning that for late fall of 2022. So that's really just the update that I would like to give to you. I don't think I have any other slides after this. If there are any questions, please let me know.
Franca, did you have a question? Because your hand is raised.
Oh, that was an applause for Wei. I hit the
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just making sure. Yes. Any questions for the editors in chief, past and present?
I think there's a comment by Dan Bernard. Thank you, Wei, for the great work.
Dr. Bernard says, thanks, Wei, for the report and the great work you, Hugh, and the associate editors have done for the journal and the society. He does have a question about the impact factor data. It seems like many journals saw impact increase dramatically in the last year. Do you know if there were any changes in how the impact factor was calculated? This is important to know to place impact factor before and after 2020 into context.
Yeah, this year's impact factor calculation is a little different because previously for articles that haven't been assigned to a specific issue, they're not counted in terms of citation. But this year they counted all the, so for example, advanced publications into the, the citations, they counted into the calculation of the impact factor. Consequently, for journals who have a large number of advanced publications. And so because of those, as soon as you put the papers online, they start receiving citations. And so those journals actually will benefit. And so that's the reason why most of the journals actually got a boost in terms of the impact factor. But given the fact that BOR, we don't accumulate huge number of the online and like advanced publications, and I just think that we benefited from that, but it's not like it's super inflated, if you will. So in other words, the next year we may see a slight drop or not drop at all because our citations actually increasing hugely annually. So I'm just hoping the next year we're going to continue to rise. But some journals actually, if they have accumulated a huge number of online publications, next year their impact factor may drop. So I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, I think that everybody should commend Wei and you for the great job they did as editors. Fantastic. And even though all impact factors rise, the more important factor was we jumped 2 journals in our ranking among reproductive journals. We're back at being the 5th highest ranked reproductive journal. So I mean that is great.
And Dan said thanks for the explanation. It was very clear.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the editor's report? I think Peter Hansen.
Dr. Hansen moved and Dr. Evans seconded. Is there a poll? If not, if anyone opposes that, please type it in the Q&A.
So now we'll move to the committee reports, and right up the bat to parallel with the editor's report will be our Publications Committee Corp report, and it'll be Francesca Duncan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to continue the discussion of our journal. Next slide. So the committee was really active this year. We had quarterly meetings, and we had several initiatives, and I've highlighted 3 of our top here. As you heard, we do have a graphical abstract contest that's ongoing. This is a partnership with BioRender. And I think you can see from the metrics here that this has been very successful in that about 44% of accepted papers now have graphical abstracts. And in the same time period last year, only about 8% had graphical abstracts. So pictures are worth 1,000 words. And so I think this is a really great initiative for the journal. We have our deadline for the entry is August 31st, and our winners will be chosen this fall. We've also worked with OUP to integrate a data availability policy that's now required for all submissions. This policy is based on level 2, and there's more information on the OUP website, but also on the BOR website about what this exactly means, but this is now incorporated into our submission process. Also, we have a member eligibility for discounted publications rate. Previously, the journal, basically your membership had to be purchased during the SSR renewal period. But in reviewing the SSR bylaws, we have updated the policy so that basically members are eligible for the discounted rates immediately when they purchase their membership, wherever they are, regardless of where it is during the year. Next slide. So we do have journal and committee leadership changes, as you've heard. Many thanks to Hugh and Wei for their tremendous leadership on the journal over the past 5 years. I'm also recently stepped down from the Publications Committee chair this past July. It's been a privilege to be part of this committee and to watch the journal grow and thrive. So I want to extend a warm welcome to Mary and Ramana as the new editors-in-chief, and also announce that Holly Lavoie and Shannon Worledge are going to take over as the Publications Committee chair and Associate Publications Committee chair. So welcome to both of them. Next slide. So I just want to remind everyone as the outgoing chair to get involved with the journal, and there's many ways to do this. Serving as a reviewer for the fields is critically important for rigor and reproducibility and quality of our work. And I also want to echo Wei's comments to trainees as well to get involved. Submit your best primary research to BOR, and always remember to submit reviews, and those are free of charge. So with that, I will turn it over to the next chair.
Yeah, at this point, I'd like to thank Francesca for her service on the Pubs Committee. I mean, behind the scenes, a lot of work was done to make B of R author-friendly environment, and she was critical in getting it done. So she's off to bigger and better things. She'll be missed from the Pubs Committee. Okay, our next, let's everybody give her a virtual round of applause. And now we go to Melissa Peplang for the Awards Committee.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to give you an update about what the Awards Committee's been up to. So can I have the next slide? So I just want to thank, first of all, the Awards Committee co-chair, Raj Kumar, and also our board liaison, Aileen Keating, and all the members of the Awards Committee. They do a lot of behind the scenes work. And the next slide. And so just to update you, so the major awards were not given in 2021. And so the 2020 awardees will be honored at the 2021 SSR meeting in St. Louis. And then trainee awards for 2021 will be determined after the meeting abstract deadline, which is coming up. And both the 2020 and 2021 awardees will be honored again at the St. Louis meeting. And then, as you probably know, the 2022 major awards are now open for nominations, and the deadline's coming up on August 15th. So get your nominations in. And I just want to let you know that the new investigators are given an additional year of eligibility this year because there was no award given last year. Also, there's been a lot of changes, including our new distinguished SSR Distinguished Fellowship. And so our Awards Committee SOP has just been updated and approved. And then just to let you know, the 2021 postdoctoral platform presentation session in St. Louis will be named after Jackson Natiba, who passed away unexpectedly at the beginning of this year. And he was highly involved in SSR, and so we're going to honor him in that way. And then finally, the inaugural state slate of the 15 distinguished fellows was selected, and they will be honored at the 2021 SSR meeting. And on the next slide, I have the list of awardees, the 15 awardees. So congratulations to all of them. And they'll be recognized at, as I said, at the St. Louis meeting. And a special thanks to the subcommittee, the fellows subcommittee members, which include Raj Kumar, Masahito Ikawa, and Jenny Jungal, who not only selected the fellows, but also were involved in developing the criteria for the fellows and getting the award submission site set up. And next slide. And and then my final slide is to announce the SSR Contraceptive Symposium winners for the oral presentation and for the poster presentations. This was not done by the Awards Committee, but by the Contraceptive Symposium organizers, but I get the privilege to announce the winners. And I don't know, are they listed on the next slide? Or if not, I'll just read them. Oh, here they are. So Aleknanda Emery for the awards oral presentations targeting NCAD during ovulation, a non-hormonal contraceptive. And then the other oral award is Marie Charlotte Menson, and the title of that presentation was Screening of a Repurposed Drug Library Identifies AMHR-MISR2 Agonists with Contraceptive Properties. And then we have two poster presentation awardees, and those winners are Jeffrey Erickson, and that poster was titled Characterizing Novel PSA Inhibitors for Usage as a non-hormonal contraceptive for women. And also Thao Din for progesterone receptor cooperates with RUNX1 and promotes chromatin accessibility to activate ovulatory gene transcription in ovarian granulosa cells. So let's give all of them a virtual applause. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. And I'd like to say that the awards committee works very hard throughout the year to acknowledge all the accomplishments. And there's a deadline coming up, August 15th. Send in your nominations for the various awards and the distinguished fellows. We'll now move on to the diversity committee with Laura Schultz. Laura?
Yes. So I'm pleased today to be presenting the report for the diversity committee. Next slide. So these were our major activities this year. The diversity forum is taking a little bit different of a format for the St. Louis meeting. So Dr. Cupp and the program committee has actually planned a plenary session for this meeting about the science of gender harassment. And then we've worked with them to have a panel discussion featuring Catherine Clancy, the plenary speaker, as well as other speakers on other aspects of bias in STEM. So I think that will be a really dynamic session. And then there will also be a panel discussion featuring the same speakers, but just for trainees, so that they get a chance to have a sort of open environment for discussion about these issues. So we're really looking forward to that. Another major duty of the diversity committee every year is to select the winners for the borough's Welcome Award. This is a competitive travel fellowship for members of from underrepresented minorities at both the trainee level and the junior faculty level. The 2020 award winners, of course, never got to go to a meeting. So those awards will be used for the St. Louis meeting this year instead, but we will also be taking new applications from this year's abstracts submitters in fall of 2021. So you can be watching out for that. It should come a little bit after the deadline for abstracts that will open up. It's on the meeting homepage. And I want to remind everyone to apply who's eligible, or to encourage especially your trainees and your colleagues to apply this fall. The other thing that we've been doing this year, I think many of you have noticed, is sort of following in the footsteps of the Winners Committee, as we've been trying to highlight some of our membership diversity in the newsletter contributions and really share with our membership some of the diverse backgrounds of our members and their accomplishments. And so we've been doing this around themes like Black History Month and Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Oh, next slide. I also wanted to highlight the fact that really diversity and inclusion doesn't work as a standalone committee unless this is really integrated into all of the activities of the society. And I wanted to highlight some of the work that the other committees have been doing to do this. So the program committee for the St. Louis meeting really has been making an effort to make sure that the diversity of the invited speaker lineup reflects the diversity of our society. So for example, there are actually 61% of the speakers, at least in the original program, we're not quite sure what the numbers are since post-pandemic updates, but about 61% of the speakers are women for the upcoming meeting, and about 22% are Asian, and 18% are members of underrepresented minorities in science. So I think this will be a really nice meeting for showcasing our diversity. And I've given you some other examples here. The trainees are hosting a grants workshop and making efforts to make that inclusive. And the membership committee has been working on reaching out to undergrads at HBCUs to try and improve the pipeline for our society. One more slide. I just wanted to thank all of the hardworking members of the committee who are shown here. They've really been keeping in touch, even though that's been difficult during the pandemic. And I want to welcome my incoming co-chair, Angela Ganella-Diaz. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. So now we'll move on to the Trainee Affairs Committee. Rachel's not here, and Andrew Kelleher will present. Andrew.
So I'm just going to give an update on the Trainee Affairs Committee. So I just want to start by giving a shout out to all the trainees who have served on the TAC this year, served virtually, and have been able to stay involved. I'd also like to thank all the chairs of the committees for keeping the trainees involved throughout the whole process. We've had good feedback saying that they feel like their opinions have been listened to this year. So thank you. I've also like to just give a shout out to Rachel West, who is the outgoing trainee rep who couldn't be here today. She's really done a lot to push our incentive or initiatives forward. In line with that, I want to welcome Dr. Taylor Pinney from the University of Sydney. We had a really competitive trainee election this year with a lot of voter turnout, so we hope to keep that going. We're really happy to have Taylor on board. So we've been working closely with a lot of different committees and together to put together some events for this St. Louis meeting. Some of them are tried and true SSR trainee events, and some are, you'll notice, are new. These include the trainee happy hour. This is just going to be for trainees to be able to come and socialize with only trainees, maybe to make connections and just to make new friends. We also have the trainee forum this year that is titled Searching, Applying, and Interviewing and Negotiating for Your First Job. We have the grants workshop that Laura had discussed, the trainee mentor luncheon, where we will have a career consultation center, which will be available in the mornings of the conference. And this year, you'll note we're doing a virtual fun run. One, because I don't think really anybody wants to run in the middle of winter in St. Louis. And two, because this is a virtual and in-person meeting, it can be a way for people that aren't at the conference to participate. Just be sure to tag your runs with our hashtags on Twitter. I also want to point out that the SSR Reflex blog has been working with a lot of trainees. And so any trainee that is interested in writing for the blogs, please contact either Taylor or myself at trainees@ssr.org with any ideas you have for blog posts. I'd also like to draw attention to our social media. Just make sure you're following us at SSR Trainees and our Facebook page. And we're currently looking for some volunteers to run our social media accounts. So if you're interested or you have students or postdocs that are interested, please send them our way. It's a great way to get involved. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. Now we'll move to our membership committee report. Alan?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Next slide, please. Wanted to start by just mentioning some of the activities we've done in the past year, kind of highlight them. And I want to begin with one that we completed a couple months ago. And one big chore of the membership committee is to reach out to lapsed members and remind them about the benefits of SSR. And we did this past year, and I asked Ron Fan, the SSR executive director for membership committee, to give me the stats on this. And you know, and I'm showing them here that we reached out to 487 lapsed members, and 366 of them renewed their membership after receiving our emails. So I think our membership committee really does a good job of reaching out to these members and getting them to remind them to renew their membership. A couple other things we've been doing this past year is that, as Laura Schultz mentioned, we developed an undergrad membership category that's been all completed within the past year. There's no fee involved. We're trying to recruit undergrads so that as they become graduate students, they'll continue on as trainee members. Another activity of ours is an ongoing program that we call the Membership Incentive Program. This is really something that Lane Christensen came up with about a year ago. And we've continued on with the help of Daniel McPhee, where we're trying to figure out ways to reward members for serving our committee, our program, SSR. And so if you do a committee service or reviewing or the like, we're looking for ways that we might be able to reimburse you a little bit for some of that work. And that's ongoing. So maybe within the next year, we'll have more news about that. Something else that's nearing fruition, I hope, is that we're working on trying to get an early career investigator recruitment retention initiative started. And what I mean by that is that after the trainee period, when a person receives their first faculty position or PI position, we want to capture those new investigators and try to make sure that they are welcome to SSR and retain membership to SSR and feel like it's their home society. So Troy Ott is really the person who's championing this in the next year. And he's going to work with myself and the co-chair, George Perry, to actually see if we can hold a mixer as a first start on trying to get these new investigators into the fold a little bit more for SSR. And lastly, we're still continuing with our SSR Affiliate Society program. And what this program is where we want to get our name SSR out to the world by reaching out to other societies, reproductive societies, and aligning with them and cooperating with them, giving some of their members opportunities to see our web-based materials for a small fee in the hopes that we might be able to capture more members. And this year we've targeted ITS and CFAS as being affiliate members. And I've gotten some good unofficial responses from them, but by the end of this summer, I think we'll have some official responses for that. Next slide, please. So the membership over the years, this is something that I guess I'm not too surprised with. In this 2021, we've seen a decrease in total membership. I say I'm not surprised because we do not have a summer meeting. Otherwise, I would expect it would be pretty high. The 2020 year, we did a very good job because we had an incentive program where we offered new returning members with a complimentary membership. So if I'm correct in my assumptions that the 2021 drop is because of the lack of a summer meeting, we should be right on pace with our membership again next year in 2022. Next slide. Again, this membership, regular membership is down. That's shown here. And next slide, please. And our international numbers are also down. Next slide. I'd like to just finish up by mentioning a couple more things about our membership. The first is that I want to recognize our new emeritus members. What happens if these members were members of the society for at least 10 years, and when they retire from their position, they're now eligible for a complimentary emeritus membership. So if you see Anna, Sally, Larry, Patricia, Mike, or Kai Peng, please congratulate them on their retirement and thank them for continuing to become members of SSR. Next slide, please. Now I want to finish by mentioning members of SSR who have passed away in this past year. And we're really worried that since we did not have a meeting that we've missed somebody. So if you know of anybody who has passed away that is not on this list, please mention it right now in the Q&A session or on the chat link so we can have that information available. But the people we are aware of include Bernard Neju, Jackson Natiba, Caird Rexroad Jr., and next slide. And I regret to say, just today, we learned that Keith Inskeep has passed away. And so we added him to this list too. So I'd like to finish the report by just asking everyone to have a moment of silence before we continue. Okay, thank you. And then I just heard from Lane Christensen that Joe Ford also should be added to this list. Thanks, Lane, for that. So we will make sure that we add Joe to this list. Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you very much, Alan. And now we'll move on to the Bylaws Committee, and that's April Binder.
Hi, everyone. The Bylaws Committee was fairly busy this year in reviewing some of our bylaws, as well as a few charges from the directors. And what we have in the email that was sent out this morning, you have a list of all of the suggested bylaws changes. I'm going to walk through those now. And then tomorrow there will be an email link sent for membership to vote on these. So the first bylaw change relates back to some things that you already heard about, including a change in an addition of a new membership category for undergraduate members. This is going to be specifically for undergraduate members and comes with no fee so that we can hopefully get those students in as undergraduates and they will retain their membership as they move on to graduate school as trainee members. Next slide. There were also some changes with the meeting of members in the article to clarify the language. And you'll see that this first one is to clarify the language about the annual business meeting, and that the annual business meeting will be held at a time and place determined by the board of directors, such as this meeting happening here today. And then just to clarify some of the language with other meetings to include both scientific meetings and those that are called outside of the annual meeting time.
So this will align with what we have done this year and hopefully will keep us aligned as we move forward in future years. Next slide. Another change that we have is to add a member to the board of directors. So there's several changes in this board of directors section of the category. The main one is to add one early stage investigator to the board of directors. So this is going to be an extra seat on the board of directors for the election. And by adding this extra seat for an early stage investigator, we also had to clarify some language, such as the number of board of directors and the number of elected directors that would be joining the officers. So these changes will allow for our board of directors to always include one early stage investigator in the membership and on voting. Next slide. Another change within that board of directors section is to clarify some of the language about when the change for the board of directors takes place. In previous, it was aligned with the scientific meeting, but we are now aligning it with the annual business meeting and clarifying the language to match that I discussed earlier when thinking about the business meetings. And we also clarified some of the language to say that the board of directors will also, after the change in the board of directors that happens at the annual business meeting, which we will be seeing later today, that a meeting will take place of those new board of directors immediately following the business meeting. Next slide. So this change came up as we were reviewing the bylaws and going through it. And this is just clarifying some language in the section of the officers that the president shall assume the office in the year following their election to vice president. So it just kind of more succinctly describes how the vice president-elect becomes the president in the following year. And then it also clarifies some of the language about the office of the president. If the office of the president were to become vacant, the vice president will succeed to office and their term shall encompass that extra time plus their stipulated term of 1 year due to their election as vice president. So this change here really just clarifies the language in our practice. Next slide. I believe that is all of the changes for the bylaws that we have. And again, as I said, those voting is going to come out for those tomorrow in an email, and a complete description as well as the old bylaws and the suggested changes can be found in the PDF of the email that went out earlier today. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we move on to our Winners Committee report. Karen?
Hi, next slide. Thanks, Marco. This time last year, Winners, which is Women in Reproductive Sciences, was made an ad hoc committee. So we are celebrating our first birthday. Happy birthday to us. We made it. What we've done this past year to get this committee really up and running and meeting all of our missions that we had set out when we were made a subcommittee a number of years ago were to support the nominations for the board of directors and for the distinguished fellows, and we were extremely successful in doing that. We've started forming a steering committee that has oversight over what Winners is doing. We're currently at 8 and we're looking to build to 12. Look out for our emails and reaching out and seeing if you may be interested in joining us. We also created subcommittees. We have a really active social media subcommittee, and we have a really busy and active awards and nomination subcommittee. If you follow us on Twitter, which is Winners SSR, you'll see that we highlight and boost productivity of lots of SSR members and achievements. So if you don't follow us, please follow us. We have a goal of meeting 1,000 followers soon, so help us reach that goal. And we've also updated our SOP and mission statement to be more inclusive. So what to look forward to in this next year, we're continuing to support women for major awards. We are eyeball deep in awards right now. Melissa and the awards committee, I apologize in advance, but we have a lot of great applications coming your way. We're growing the steering committee, as I mentioned. We'd like to get more engagement from SSR members, and this does not mean you have to be a woman to be an active member of Winners. Everybody is welcome. And finally, our biggest activity is that we're building an educational outreach program that will dovetail really nicely with the diversity programming at the meeting, where we're going to offer viewing of the documentary Picture a Scientist early in December. You can view it over the weekend in the comfort of your own home, and then we'll have a discussion panel at both at the meeting and virtually worldwide to talk about the issues that came up in that documentary and what we can do about it. And then looking forward to July of 22, we're planning some sort of power hour style discussion. And that's my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Now we move on to another new committee, the Virtual Education Committee, which will be Monica will give the report.
Hello, everyone. So I'm here representing Joni Jorgensen, who is the chair of the committee. I'm her vice chair. And we had a very productive and very enjoyable experience with the Virtual Education Committee. I will start by telling you a little bit about our members who were very active and great people. I don't have their names here, but we try to be very diverse when choosing the committee members. We have 12 members plus SSR office representative and board liaison. And among our 12 members, we have 4 senior investigators, 2 assistant professors, 3 postdocs, and 2 graduate students, 7 women, 6 men from USA and from Australia. And some of our members are also underrepresented minorities. So the committee worked very hard, and our first, I think, successful product was the webinar on reproductive biology and exotic species, which took place early in 2021. So some of you maybe have seen these webinars. We had a total of 6 events, and we had webinars on invertebrates, marsupials, placental mammals, fish, reptiles, and birds. We organized it in a way that we had a speaker and we had a moderator, both of which were recognized expert in reproductive biology. So we had a total of 466 registrants from 20 different countries. Our next activity was SSR Professional Development Series, which ran in May and June 2021. And we had 3 different events. One was a storytelling and science communication with Holly Kirby and Adam Steinberg, promoting health and wellness of biomedical researchers, and the art of science of communicating with impact. So for this, we have over 100 registrants from 15 different countries. And our third webinar that is will be taking place starting in September and will run through March 2022 is Rising Stars in Reproductive Biology Research. So we decided to promote our junior investigators that are already independent. They do not have to be from the SSR membership, but they should have some already nice recognition and achievements in reproductive biology field. So the way we did it is that our committee members submitted the nominations up to 3 after consultations with colleagues. And so we ended up with about 30 nominees. We then narrowed them down to top 15, and then we selected the top 6, which represent 3 countries, and we have 2 women and 4 men. So we are at the stage now when the final notices about being selected were sent by Joni to these people, and we, together with the office, will be setting it up and basically planning who will be presenting first. We also work on a podcast. So the committee created a subcommittee that focused on the podcast activities. And this is still in a development phase. We had some podcasts already recorded, 5 episodes. And we have podcast jingle featuring Buck Hales on harmonica. And in regards to future plans, we were thinking that the time after this first initial year where we basically work only as a committee, we now would like to reach out to the broader membership. So we will be inviting the nominations for the future activities from the SSR members. And we are working with the office to figure out how exactly to do it. We have some plans already on that. We also, our committee was involved in interviewing the members that were chosen for awards this year. So this is also almost done. We will have these interviews presented, I believe, later during the year before the annual meeting. And we also have something that we've been working on. This is a breakthroughs in reproductive biology, which will be 2 webinars, I believe, that are currently in the works. So that's the brief update on the committee works from me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if anyone has.
We're going to hold the questions till the end, Monica.
Yeah.
Thank you. So now we'll open up to, does anybody have any general questions for the committee reports? Please type it in the Q&A. Okay, here, reading none, is there a motion to accept the committee reports? So we have Janice Evans moved. Is there a second? And Andrew Kelleher seconded. All those in favor vote yes, and all those opposed vote no. Okay, the motion carried. Okay, now we're going to move into talk about our upcoming meetings. And our first, next slide, please. And let's go, Andrea.
Thanks, Franco. So I just want to invite you all to the meeting in December. Next slide, please. And I'm hoping that you're saving the date and are going to join me and my 2 program co-chairs, Rebecca Kreischer and Jeanette DeFore. We've worked really hard at this meeting, and it feels like we planned it 3 times. But basically, the topic is reproductive biology, solutions for adult disease. It's going to be December 15th through the 18th. And as discussed earlier, we're going to have a great group of plenary speakers, including Catherine Clancy, who is going to talk about the science of gender harassment. And we're actually going to have a SSR news flash here before too long that discusses that. And hopefully you guys are getting ready, if you haven't already, to submit abstracts. And we have extended the abstract deadline to Monday the 9th. Next slide. So just a couple of things I wanted to go over. We are optimistic that we can move ahead with a face-to-face meeting and also have a virtual component. And I think our virtual component is probably going to be decided in the next several months, but we are planning that. And we are expanding our virtual offerings and are prepared to do total virtual if it is necessary. But I'm being optimistic that we're going to see each other because I'd really like to see you guys in St. Louis in December. We will be giving you continued updates on the website, and we also are going to feature a weekly update on the newsletter. And we're going to keep you up to date on the COVID situation in St. Louis and with our venue. There's going to be absolutely no penalty to switch from a live in-person to virtual attendee. So if that's something that's worrying you and why you're not submitting abstracts potentially or not considering attending the meeting, please do, because we realize that this situation is always constantly different, and we're basically going to not have any penalties if you change how you're going to attend the meeting in December. And I just want to say that I am so excited from hearing all the committee reports, and I hope that you too are excited and will join us in St. Louis in December. And with that, I'll just give it back over to Franco.
Thank you, Andrea. And I just want to give a plug for the July Spokane meeting. It's now being run by the past presidents, and my chairs are Tom Spencer and Rebecca Roca. And we have our keynotes already selected. We just would like to encourage members to submit suggestions for mini symposiums. We sent out a recall a while back, and we'll send out another call because it's, this is a society that's run by the members. So we really would appreciate members submit their ideas for what they want to hear at the meeting. I think it's really important to have in-person meetings. What we're trying to do is learn from what's been going on with COVID and not waiting for the virtual to go away, but to learn how to integrate virtual with the meeting. And we're learning from other societies and what other societies have done. I think in the future, if you had to look for a utopia, we would have an in-person meeting and a virtual meeting that would give you the total experience so that the people that can travel can attend the virtual meeting, and incentives for the virtual meeting to work out that way. So that's what's going on. We're working on now, and we're working on that for, see if we can pull that off for the Spokane meeting. But that's all I have to say. Please, it's important to attend the meetings. I know there's 2 meetings within a relatively short time, but scientific exchange is much better in person. And, I think we're all learning how to have to adapt and live with the new normal, which is unfortunately a new normal. Okay, thank you. So
Franco, sorry, Franco, there were a couple of comments.
Okay.
Dan Bernard wants to thank Andrea, noted that it's not unusual to extend abstract deadlines, but he wanted to know if you can give us a sense of what submission rates look like thus far.
They look pretty good. I think we got a couple of hundred submissions right now for this time. I think people are, people wait till the last minute to submit, and when then you give them an extension, they wait that time. So the early returns have been about a couple of hundred, right, Andrea?
We have close, I think, to between 200 and 300 abstracts right now. So we're hoping for a couple hundred more.
Yeah, I think that would be really good considering. I mean, my lab wanted to, give me 5 more days to write my abstract. I said, no, get your abstracts in. So, I've gotten my lab's abstracts in. Please get your abstracts in. It's important for trainees to go to these meetings. A, to learn science, B, meet their future colleagues, and C, when they're on the job market, start hustling for jobs at these meetings. Are there any more questions, Jen?
There was a question or a desire to, Andrea mentioned that there was that reduction in registration fee for people attending both St. Louis and Spokane in person. Do you want Lane to mention something about that, or do you just want to do it, Franco?
So I think we reduced the membership for the December meeting. Right now, we're still evolving the membership, the charge for admissions to the Spokane meeting, depending upon how much virtual we can offer and how that charge structure is. But there is a reduced membership, and then if you go to the St. Louis meeting, you get a discount on the Spokane meeting. So it's sort of like you can get a bonus if you go. It's a bonus if you go to both of the meetings. And I think I don't want to give false numbers. I think you can check the website and they'll give you details on the courses. Right now, we have reduced admissions for in-person attendance and virtual attendance for the December meeting, and the July meeting, we're still working out the charges for that. Okay, anything else, Jen?
Nope.
Okay, so next slide. So now it's time to acknowledge some people. So we first want to acknowledge the people behind the scenes. This is the virtual business office that runs the society. I'm not going to go through everybody. I just want to highlight that Julie Utano has stepped in for Simon Hendrick, who has moved on to bigger and better things. And then the other person that everybody should know is Jenny Kimball. She is our publications manager. If you have any issues or any questions about publishing in B of R, just go to her and she will solve any problems you have. I think that's what our goal was, to make submission to the journal more user-friendly. Next slide. So now it's time to recognize outgoing officers and directors. Next slide. So there's not enough words that can to say to what Andrew's gone through, dealing with a lot of issues with COVID over the last couple of years, having to have the meeting moved 3 times, putting up with a virtual meeting, and keeping everybody on the board sane, and her clear vision and guidance and level-headedness has allowed the society to be fiscally sound with a vision for the future. So I think we all should acknowledge Andrea as past president for doing a great job as past president. It's been very tough filling her shoes in the last year, and everybody can go to the reactions and give can they give the applause sign would be great. Okay, so kudos to Andrea. Next, we have our 2 directors cycling off. Olga Bolden-Tillen served on the Public Affairs Committee. She did a great job keeping SSR out in the open, and was actually a voice of reason, and was very intuitive when talking about issues that came up on the board. The next slide. Daryl Russell is also cycling off. I'd like to give Daryl a round of applause. We can thank Daryl for running the contraceptive meetings and keeping that going. So we actually had a meeting this summer, even though we didn't have a meeting this summer. And Daryl works behind the scenes, and I think Daryl works so well because he's always a day ahead of us, being in Australia. Next slide. And then we want to acknowledge Rachel West, who was the trainee rep. You have to feel for the trainees during COVID. They really missed the experience of being, the SSR experience of working in the meeting and stuff. Rachel was totally a virtual trainee rep, but she learned how to deal with crisis and how the board deals with issues. So we want to wish Rachel a congratulations. Okay, next. So now it's time to induct the new board members. So the next slide, the new vice president-elect will be Blanche Capel from Duke University. We're excited to have about Blanche coming on. I've known Blanche for years, and I've always appreciated her wisdom. And then we have some new directors. Next slide. So we have 2 new directors, Humphrey Yao and Rebecca Kreischer. The question I have is everybody in Blanche Capel's lab required to wear a scarf? Because Humphrey was a trainee for Blanche, and they both wore scarves for the pictures. Rebecca, and then our new trainee rep, as Andrew mentioned, will be Taylor Peeney. Next slide. So at this time, it gives me really great pleasure to introduce our next president of SSR, Troy Ott. Troy, it's all yours.
Well, thanks, Franco. And the first thing I would like to do is, with the next slide, is recognize the outstanding leadership that Franco has exhibited here over this last year. It's been a pleasure to work with Franco. Those of you who know him, he is a Tasmanian devil of energy, and sometimes he talks so fast I have to think for 15 minutes after the meeting to catch up with everything he said. I particularly appreciate Franco's willingness to bring me into the weekly meetings, so will help me move into leadership more smoothly. So once again, I really want to thank Franco for his leadership through what's been a very challenging year. Then I would just like to thank my colleagues and friends and fellow members of the SSR who've entrusted me with leadership in this society. I mentioned my appreciation for Franco, but I got to tell you, working with Andrea and recent past presidents, the Gen who demonstrated excellent leadership and really brought the society through a period of tremendous change and challenge, and have placed the society on very strong footing. I want you to also know that we have an outstanding and dedicated support staff in our business office, led by the executive director, Julie Utano, and her team at Virtual. I think you might also be comforted to know that another past president, Joy Pate, is only one door away from my office and has been generous with her advice and guidance through my several years of service on the board. And she has pledged to keep a careful eye on me during my term as president. I just want to tell you, I will do my very best to represent all members of the SSR and grow the society and journal in their impact on the reproductive sciences, and to enhance the value of SSR membership to our members. After our board of directors meeting next week, I will be sharing more details on my priorities for the coming year. So now, with my first order of business as president, I will ask members of the SSR if there is any new business to be called before this meeting. And you can type that into the Q&A. Okay. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the annual business meeting of the Society for the Study of Reproduction. Pete Hansen moved, Bernard Robert seconded. So with that, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.